There is a story unfolding. A story of humanity's progress through history, propelled by the teachings of messengers of God. Messengers guiding humanity through its stages of development, and now to the dawn of its maturity.
Tia ati tu buti ili nakti ti ni tuki tu ni hokpo inu lukta nu na yang nu lukta ta ko ili nakti ti nui ga ngata maliktao ninga akito himayo inu tuki hening nitnu.
Now is the time of Bahá'u'lláh, the messenger of God for this day.
Baha'u'llah's purpose is to unite all mankind, to bring all races, classes, peoples, different backgrounds to be united.
The teachings of Baha'u'lláh are inspiring millions of people, transforming neighborhoods, villages, and cities in every country on earth.
Bahá'u'lláh è venuto per trasformare l'intero carattere dell'umanità, portare un cambiamento interiore ed esteriore nelle condizioni del mondo.
Baha'u'llah's teachings are vast in scope, essential in nature. Their central feature is the oneness of humankind, with all its implications for the transformation of those essential relationships that bind peoples and nations, helping them to transcend all forms of prejudice, to advance the equality of women and men, to uplift the downtrodden, and to foster economic justice. These teachings of Baha'u'lláh represent an end to division and otherness. This is the time for the recognition that all people are one family, for the building of a united world that embraces the diversity of its peoples. It is a new chapter of humanity's story, a chapter that began 200 years ago. Persia, 1817. The world is asleep. It is the hour of dawn on an ordinary day, when an extraordinary child is born to humanity. He will come to be known as Baha'u'lláh. As a child, Baha'u'lláh lives a princely life. His father is a distinguished government minister, and his ancestry goes back to the greatest dynasties of Persia. As Baha'u'lláh grows to young adulthood, he turns his back on a life of luxury and prominence, and instead dedicates himself to helping the poor and the oppressed.
Anawapenda binadamu wote sawa, kwamba alijitoa kwa ajili ya binadamu wote. Kwa hiyo kujitoa sio kitu rahisi. Tunajua kabisa mtu mpaka anajitoa maisha yake kwa ajili ya wanadamu, basi ujue kwamba ana kitu kingine cha ziada. Kwa hiyo alikuwa na upendo.
Baha'u'llah's dedication to serving those in need stands in stark contrast with the attitudes among the nobility of the time. Later in life, he would demonstrate the temporary nature of the material world and all its riches by relating a story from his childhood. He describes watching an elaborate puppet show while still a young child during the wedding celebration of his older brother.
Très rapidement, des petits personnages ont commencé à s'animer et les petits personnages ont annoncé « Sa Majesté arrive, préparez les sièges ». Finalement arrive un personnage royal qui était très majestueux, qui agissait avec beaucoup d'arrogance, très hautain, qui avait un diadème très brillant. Et là, des coups de feu retentirent, les trompettes, tout d'un coup la tente fut enveloppée de fumée. La pièce se termine et 20 minutes après, il y a un homme qui sort du derrière de la tente et qui a une petite boîte sous le bras. Et Bahá'u'lláh, elle l'arrête et lui dit « Mais qu'est-ce que c'est que cette boîte ?» Il lui dit « Toutes les choses que tu as vues, le prince, le roi, les ministres, tout ce que tu as vu est enfermé dans cette boîte. »
Baha'u'llah tells this story to help explain the true purpose of our physical existence. Ere long, these outward trappings, these visible treasures, these earthly vanities, these proud and overweening souls, all shall pass into the confines of the grave, as though into that box. It behooveth therefore every man of insight to fix his gaze upon the goal of eternity. (1844). Baha'u'llah's reputation for kindness and compassion, for insight and wisdom, becomes widespread in his native land. At the same time, a sudden and galvanizing movement begins to spread throughout all of Persia. A young man, known as the Bab, or the Gate, had arisen to awaken humanity and prepare the world for the long-awaited promised one of all ages. Baha'u'llah becomes a prominent supporter of his cause. But the Bab's teachings are met with opposition from those in power. The clergy and the government denounce him and relentlessly persecute his followers. Thousands are murdered. (1850). A military square in Tabriz. The Bab himself is executed under dramatic circumstances.
Após a execução do Bab, seus seguidores continuaram a ser perseguidos até que milhares foram massacrados. E Bahá'u'lláh foi levantada uma falsa acusação sobre ele, até que o mandato de prisão foi emitido.
He was arrested. He was chained, he was beaten, he was made to walk barefooted, and then he was put into a dungeon called Siyah Chal, literally means the black pit.
The place was dark, there was no light, there was one entrance. It was full of filth and unbelievable. I mean, we cannot really get our heads around what that place was like.
Baha'u'llah had a heavy chain around his neck. The marks the chain left was evident all his life. Well, you look at that tragedy, you look at that, and your heart breaks. People wait for many, many years for the beloved to appear, and then they do this to him. But he was in the same Siyah Chal that Baha'u'llah received inspiration from God that he is the manifestation of God for today.
During the days I lay in the prison of Tehran, though the galling weight of the chains and the stench-filled air allowed me but little sleep, still, in those infrequent moments of slumber, I felt as if something flowed from the crown of my head over my breast, even as a mighty torrent that precipitateth itself upon the earth from the summit of a lofty mountain.
And he said his voice uttered verses that no one could bear at that moment. So there, in that most awful of situations, that moment of light, that moment when the radiance, when the light became manifested in him, it's just a contrast, it's just practically impossible to imagine.
Baha'u'llah endures 4 months of intense suffering in the Black Pit. Orders are given that he, along with his family, be banished forever from his homeland. Sick and frail, he crosses the Zagros Mountains in the bitter cold of winter to reach Baghdad. This begins a period of exile that will last the remaining 40 years of his life. For the time being, the truth of his divine mission is kept hidden.
You see, I love the teachings of Baha'u'llah, where they say that we are like a garden of flowers that has different colors of flowers, different designs, and so on. So we understand that we are one. And as we understand that we are one, then we have to work for that oneness. So in the process of working for that oneness, we serve others, we help others.
1863. The influence of Baha'u'llah and his teachings continues to infuriate the Persian authorities. At their urging, the Ottoman Sultan exiles him farther still from his native land. Before departing Baghdad, Baha'u'llah gathers his companions for 12 days in a garden called Rizwan on the Tigris River. It is here, with his tent pitched along the rose-lined pathways, that Baha'u'llah proclaims publicly for the first time that he is the promised messenger of God for this day. In this moment, a new era in human history begins. Everything would change. The magnitude of the transformation called for by Baha'u'llah is hinted at in some of the words he speaks regarding these days. That which was hidden is now revealed, and that which was concealed is now come. Bestir yourselves to greet this day, a day whereon the gates of heaven have been flung open, and the clouds of eternity have rained down. Baha'u'llah, along with his family and companions, is exiled deep into the Ottoman Empire. First to Istanbul, then Edirne. The authorities hope to eradicate his faith once and for all. But Baha'u'llah's influence proves unstoppable. Years pass. In 1868, he is banished yet again, this time to a harsh and remote colony on the outskirts of the Ottoman Empire, the prison city of Akka. We have accepted to be abased, O believers in the unity of God, that ye may be exalted, and have suffered manifold afflictions, that ye might prosper and flourish. It is during his exile and imprisonment that Baha'u'llah writes letters to the monarchs and rulers of the time, openly proclaiming his station as the messenger of God for this day.
Baha'u'llah wrote these letters to the kings and rulers of the world during an age of empires. This is a period of time where a few rulers governed most of the world.
The world is in great turmoil, and the minds of its people are in a state of utter confusion. We entreat the Almighty that He may graciously illuminate them with the glory of His justice, and enable them to discover that which will be profitable unto them at all times and under all conditions. May 1892. After 40 years of suffering and exile on behalf of humanity, Baha'u'llah passes away here in Batji. His resting place, now restored and beautified, is the spiritual heart and a place of pilgrimage for millions of people around the world. People striving daily in their home communities to put Baha'u'llah's teachings of unity, justice, and equality into practice. The aim of this wronged one in sustaining woes and tribulations, in revealing the holy verses, and in demonstrating proofs, has been naught but to quench the flame of hate and enmity, that the horizon of the hearts of men may be illumined with the light of concord, and attain real peace and tranquility.